morning, expert of the current session, Dr. Sailesh here, and dear participants. So today is the first session of the day, and overall, this is the 13th session of the overall STTP. So I invite my colleague, Professor Sachin Baga, to introduce the expert of this session. Sachin.
Very good morning to all the participants. I welcome Dr. Shailesh Iyer, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and IT, Head Collaborators and IS, School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, Rai University, Ahmedabad. He is PhD Computer Science and has having research experience of about 22 years. His area of interest includes cybersecurity, image processing, ML. Currently, he is guiding six research scholars and he is having publications in the reputed journals of IEEE, Springer, IGI Global, and another reputed journals. So he remains a track chair and reviewer of many conferences and international journals. And along with that, he was a resource person and organizers for many activities. Sir, we are very much thankful to you for accepting our invitation for being a resource person. So with these words, I welcome Dr. Iyer and request him to please start the session. Thank you, sir.
Very good morning to all the organizers and all the participants. Thank you very much, Dr. Pankaj and his team for organizing this fantastic STTP and also giving me an opportunity to have an interaction with the esteemed audience. Right. Now, I would just like to start with my topic. I would just like to share my screen. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah, fine. So, like I would be focusing upon this topic today, cyber laws and research opportunities in cybersecurity. Uh, Basically, broadly, I would like to cover these topics in this interaction today. Cyberspace and cybercrime scenario. I understand that a lot of emphasis has already been given on cyber crime and related forensics, etc. So I may not be covering that part over here. I would be focusing more on the cyber law related and research opportunities in cybersecurity. We would also be looking at cyber law and different provisions. We would also be looking at some sections of IT Act 2000 and 2008, the amendments that have taken place. There are some case studies which I would like to share with you, and probably the research opportunities which are there in the emerging field of cybersecurity. So these are the Niti Aayog statistics. I'm just sharing some facts with you because these facts are very important to understand what is the penetration level of cybercrime in India, right? Now, when we are talking about the penetration of internet usage in India, this is as per Niti Aayog statistics from their website. I've taken it. So pre-COVID-19 statistics are given here. So during COVID time, a lot of more online users have joined. So what I'm talking about here is the pre-COVID-19 statistics. So you can at least count an increase of at least 20% from here, at least a conservative estimate of 20%, because what I believe is that many people have turned to online transactions who were earlier using offline transactions. We're going to the bank, we're going for recharging, etc. outside. Now they have, in this COVID situation, they have started doing it from home. So online users have increased manifold, right? So according to this statistic, there are 730 million in India internet users, 75% new users from rural areas. Now this is a very big fact which is coming out, that rural area people have started using internet in a large scale. 75% new users to consume data in vernacular languages. That means different regional languages are coming to the fore. We are not just focusing upon English or Hindi, we are talking about all the regional languages over here. 175 million online shoppers, 70% e-commerce transactions will be done via mobile. I hope that is more right now. 50% travel transactions will be online. Though this travel industry has suffered a lot here because of this COVID, so I believe there will be some revision there. But normally we have a base of lot of transactions have increased over here as far as these transactions are concerned. So we are having a lot many users who are using internet, who are online, and basically the mode of usage is mainly mobiles or laptops, right? Desktops has decreased uh, considerably, and what we were talking about as a cyber cafe usage, that has also decreased a lot compared to previous years. So right now we are finding all have smartphones, and through smartphones most of the transactions are done online. Now I am basically showing you this statistics because this is an eye opener which will actually the NCRB cybercrime statistics shows that 2015 to 19, I've just focused upon some of the incidents that have been reported. Now these are incidents that have been reported. So in 2014, 15 we had 49,455 cybersecurity incidents which were reported. 2016 a slight increase in that, 50,362. 2017 it is 53,117. 2018 there's a drastic increase. Now this is actually, if you see, this is after the demonetization phase, right? So 2017-18 should be considered as after the demonetization phase. So you will see that there is a huge increase in the cases, incidents reported, 2,08,546 cases. And 2019 it is 3,13,640. And this statistics is up till October 2019. Now probably it is much more than what we are talking about. Now these are just reported incidents. I'm again repeating it. These are reported incidents for which some kind of reporting has taken place by the person who is a victim. There are many such cases which have gone unreported, which we are not talking about. Suppose if I have suffered, I have been a victim of some cyber crime, I may say that, okay, मेरे तो सिर्फ 500 रुपए गए हैं, it's fine, I will not report it. So there are many such people who have not reported such crimes, and this is actually, this statistics is much bigger if we talk about those incidents also, right? Now I've talked about some cities here, Ahmedabad and Bangalore. As per the statistics that was available, 2016 only 77 cases were registered. 2017 112 cases registered. 2018 212 cases registered. It is increasing, but still the number of registered cases is much less. In Bangalore, if you see, 2016 762 cases, 2017 2743 cases, and 2018 we have 5253 cases. Now just a question for the audience, just to keep it a little bit interactive. Do you think there are less cases over here? According to the statistics, it is showing that there are few cases in Ahmedabad and Bangalore, but do you think it is a fact? If the participant can unmute and reply, or in the chat window also would be fine. Okay, fine. Most of the participants are saying no. So they believe that these statistics are not still being reported. Probably lack of awareness. Very, very true. Fine. See, I'll give you one example. Actually, I studied in Fatima Convent School. So when I had gone there for, I mean, I'm into the field of CS and IT. So when I had gone there just to visit my school before a few years, in 2014 to be exact, I found that the sisters, actually, it's a charity trust and run by sisters. So those sisters were actually too much in tension. They were saying that their website has been totally hacked, and there are a lot of problems along with it. I just interacted with them. I asked them a few questions. They were saying that it is being handled by a person who prepared the website. So the password, I asked about the password. They said that he had given it. Let me check. And then they saw the record, and they gave the user ID and password, saying that this is the user ID and password. Similarly, for all the email accounts, that person had created, and all the passwords were the same. They were not changed. So this is the lack of awareness in educational institutes also. So then I had to brief them regarding what to do, how to do, what not to do. All these things were briefed by me to them, and then we tried to retrieve it, though it was at a different level, so we could not retrieve it. We had to approach a cyber crime consultant, and then it was done. So what I mean to say here is that many of the crimes are not reported. I asked them whether you have actually approached the cyber cell or the police. They were not aware of such a cyber cell, right? One more example. In my previous institution where I worked, we were carrying out a vigilance and security awareness group, right? CVASG we called it. And in that group, we used to create cyber security and cyber law awareness among the people, general public. We used to conduct webinars. We used to conduct, at that time, this was around 2009-10, right? So when we were just preparing an exhibition for related to this topic, at that time I told that the students, why not you invite the DSP of that particular district to come and inaugurate the event. That would be a good thing. He can have a speech, or he can give a speech also regarding the cyber awareness and what cyber crimes are and all that. So we wanted some dignitary to host this event, to actually give the speech. Now those students went, and they were asking a few questions through the DSP, saying that, sir, according to you, what are the how many cyber crimes have taken place in this district? Then he said that, see, there is no cyber crime committed. In the last year, there is no cyber crime committed. And the student asked that, sir, can you elaborate a little bit? Then he said that there has been no reporting of cyber crime. So there is no cyber crime uh, which has been conducted or which has been reported, right? So we called him as a chief guest. He came for the event also. We What we did is that we had newspaper cuttings. I asked the students to collect the newspaper cuttings of whatever cyber crime news had come in the newspapers regarding that district during the last year, and due that entire statistics we actually displayed it on a piece of chart paper, just at the place where the inauguration was supposed to take place. So after the inauguration was over, after he saw all this, he said that I'm also not aware about it. I was thinking that there is no cybercrime, but there are a lot of incidents which are going unreported, and we will now look into it on how to actually bring awareness among the public, and what the steps the cyber cell and the police can take for this. So this is the state of affairs in our country. I'm just talking about one region. If I travel to other regions, I will find that most of the statistics are somehow the less same. They are not going to change that much. So here, what we want is that we want not only cyber security incidents to be reported. It is like COVID cases. COVID cases, actually positive cases, many states have now reported that. We are not going into the discussion about the political part, but many states have disclosed that now the COVID positive cases are reducing. But then we understand that the testing has been reduced. So here it is the same case, that cyber security incidents are not being reported, and you're saying that cyber security, we are safe. There's no incident of cyber security breaches in our districts or country. So this is the statistics which I wanted to highlight. Now, coming to the very recent statistics, that is of 2020. Two statistics of 2020 I've just posted over here. India has seen a 37% increase in cyber attacks in the first quarter of 2020 as compared to the fourth quarter of last year. So if you see that during the lockdown period, 37% increase has been reported in cyber attacks, first quarter of 2020. NSA, that is Mr. Ajit Doval, he has said that financial frauds, because he is monitoring this from a very security angle. NSA Ajit Doval is a very big name, and he has been monitoring our entire security and international relations with different countries. He's been monitoring it from a secure angle, also from different other angles as far as our nation is concerned. So he has actually said, uh, and the source is Hindustan Times in September 2020. He has given a statement that financial frauds have seen exponential increase due to greater dependence on digital payment platforms following the COVID-19 pandemic. So as we start increasing the use of digital platforms, the more chances are that there would be cyber crimes happening, right? So we have to be more aware right now because we are more inclined to online transactions. There are many examples of this, like UIDAI Aadhaar software was hacked, Canara Bank ATM system was hacked. We have a lot of cases coming in the newspapers regarding the cloning of your cards, a debit card. When you go to an ATM to withdraw, the card can be cloned if you're not vigilant enough. So these are all some examples of this. Cosmos Bank cyber attack in Pune was there, where 94.42 crores was siphoned off by the hackers. Why I'm talking about this is because this is a big industry. This is a big illegal industry that is going on, and we need to put a cap to that. Many of us are not aware about what are the different kind of provisions in the cyber law which can allow you a redressal of this, including the industries also. So we are talking about a cyberspace. Now, cyberspace is different from the physical space. It is the electronic medium of computer networks in which online communication is taking place, and it includes internet, websites, computers, networks, software, data storage devices, emails, electronic devices like cell phones, ATM machines, etc. So the range is increasing day by day. Now we have a lot of new devices coming up, like you have handheld devices, you have particular wearable devices through which you can do a lot of transactions. So that will also now come into the picture of cyberspace, into the ambit of cyberspace. So this was the old world. Many times when we sit with our elders, they tell us that okay, we were very happy during that time, there was no crime committed, crime ratio was less, cyber crime they have not heard of because that time internet was not there. But this was the old world which we are talking about. It was television, where people used to get together and see along with family. One TV was there. Many times the whole society used to see it in one house where the TV was available. Newspapers were the mode of getting the news. TV channels, news channels were very much authentic at that time. There were very few channels. Now TRP related scams are also coming out. So old world was something like this. Now we are having a new world where probably people are interacting in the same house. Like there have been many jokes on during the lockdown, actually saying that the children came to know that their parents were very good when they actually interacted with them, because they could sit in the own house for 2 months and they could have an interaction with their parents. So such is the digital world, that we have a lot of differences. There are some pros and cons also, we are not going to talk about that. But probably new world is what we are talking about. Everything is totally different from what we were doing when we were students. Right now students have a lot of exposures, and you find that students are more exposed and more vulnerable to cyber crimes also right now than earlier. So talking about some more facts, 80% of the cyber crimes in corporate houses, like big corporate houses I'm talking about, they don't report it. The reason is that they feel that when somebody when they report it and when it is out in the newspapers that this company, being such a big company, is not able to have its own cyber security policy in place, it will be a big problem for the clients, for the customers, etc., to believe on them. So actually, they don't report such cases, but they have different consultants who are private consultants who actually act as people who actually find out the culprits and try to get the recovery. But that's very difficult actually. So 80% of the cyber crimes in corporate houses are committed by insiders because they know the internal details, and accordingly they are going to be more the company is going to be more vulnerable as they know all the secrets of the company. So that's why a lot of policies are to be defined in the company to prevent such things. More than 95% of the cases do not get reported to the police authorities. That's what I said actually, that what we are talking about is I gave a conservative estimate of 80%, but 90, according to the facts, it is 95% are going unreported in India. That means people don't know where to report, whether it is a crime or not. Suppose if I say I have my uh, laptop over here, I am at my workplace, I keep my laptop and go to the washroom or for a meeting. Somebody deletes some data, copies some data. I'm not even aware of that the crime has happened, right? So these are all crimes which are not going reported. Only the crimes where a huge amount of money is involved or some kind of exploitation is involved on a large scale, that is being reported. Otherwise others are not being reported. So this is a very big drawback of this, that we are not able to get to the actual statistics. Only 3% of the cybercrime complaints filed in Mumbai are being converted into FIR. Again, this is from the cyber crime cell, you can say cyber cell, which is active. They are not converting that many FIRs from the complaints that have been filed. Reasons may be many. The applicant may not be interested. There are many reasons. They may not be interested in showing the crime also, the policemen. So, or they may investigate it as a physical crime, not as a cyber crime. We don't know what are the reasons, but these are the reasons why 3% are only actually converted into FIR. 43% of cyber attacks target small business. Now, this is also a big hampener for us because small businesses are having limited income, limited money with them. So, if there is a cyber attack, they may be the bigger losers out of this. US FBI reported 300% increase in reported cybercrime since outbreak of COVID-19. So it's not only in India, it's outside India also this is increasing. So we need to put a cap on this. So we need cyber law awareness to be practiced, cyber law to be known, because many of us don't know it. Right? Previously, before I started the group, I was not aware that so many strict laws are there, and there are so many mechanisms of redressal for your cyber crime that has been committed against you. So cyber law is important because it touches almost all aspects of transactions and activities on and involving the internet, world wide web, and cyberspace. Now, all legal issues related to internet crime are dealt with through cyber laws. So, cyber laws are very effective here. Though in India we have 2000 IT Act 2000 and 2008, there has been an amendment to the IT Act 2000. But otherwise, there have not been any major revisions in the cyber law that we are right now facing. Now there are some talks going on where the information technology department is also sitting, and they are trying to reframe the cyber laws again. But I don't know how many years it will take still, and what will be the effective result of it. But still, there is some talk going on regarding this. So we need a lot of revamping here as far as the cyber laws are concerned, because these are 2000 and 2008 acts. Now the cyber criminals have been smarter and they are adopting newer methods of committing cybercrime. So how to deal with that? For that, we need to have effective redressal and cyber law mechanism in place. Though it is right now, but we need to make it still better. Now, government cyber laws are a necessity because internet users are on the rise. We've seen the statistics. Other than that, government is also now encouraging online transactions, whether it is for company to fill tenders or for filling individual or company tax returns, company law forms, everything are now in electronic form. Consumers are increasingly using credit cards for shopping, and most of the networking is actually being done online. That means any kind of social exchange is also taking place online. We have phone pay, we have a lot of other Google Pay, we have Paytm, we have a lot of other mechanisms of payment, and socially also we are very much active on the internet. So this is all leading to a lot of cyber crimes, and for redressal of cyber crimes we need cyber laws. So we need cyber laws very urgently, and we need to have awareness about that. Now what government is doing, government is setting up a lot of training programs for creating awareness among the people, but still lot needs to be done. Now I've just listed out a few points here where government efforts are listed out. I'm not saying it is more or less, we have to decide, that is for you to decide, but then probably at the individual end also what we are doing, whether we are taking care about our own uh, safety online. This is a major part which need to be thought about, brainstormed, and then we need to act. So major program that has been initiated is for cyber forensics, that is after the crime has happened, right? How we can use forensic tools to, I mean, it can be prevented also, but right now the focus is on after the crime has happened. How do we investigate the crime? How do we actually uh, analyze and provide the digital evidence that this crime has taken place? Because we are dependent upon the courts. Now again, there is one more talk going on that there may be cyber courts being set up very soon, and that would be in a large quantity. Right now what happens is that normal courts are handling the cybercrime cases also. So the judge may not be clearly aware about the various provisions of the IT Act also, because he may not be necessarily an IT savvy person. So again, here special courts are being set up for trying cyber law cases. So for that, digital evidence needs to be provided, and that digital evidence, for that forensic tools are involved. So we are, I mean, government is focusing upon a lot of development of such tools, and a lot of agencies which can help in development of such tools. Indian Computer Emergency Response Team (CERT) and Center for Development of Advanced Computing, that is CDAC, are involved in providing basic and advanced training of law to law enforcement agencies, forensic labs, and judiciary on the process of how to actually collect the evidence, analyze the evidence, and present the digital evidence. Because normally what happens is that many times when the even the cyber cell is investigating, cyber cell officers are also not trained, because you need to understand that we are having a traditional mindset as far as crime is concerned. Physical crime is considered as a crime. If you tell to somebody that I lost 1 lakh online because somebody has actually transferred funds from my account without my knowledge, they will always say that online banking ka ye problem hai, ye hai, wo hai. They will never say that you report to this particular place. They will actually see upon you as if you have lost something because of your mistake. So here we need to look at various things here on how to collect, analyze, and present digital evidence. So probably that is where these teams are working on. Cyber forensic training labs have been set up at various places, uh, at training academy of CBI also, because CBI related cases are more. Now there is a always a kind of a request for CBI to take up the cases, whether it is cyber related or non-cyber related. So we want to provide basic and advanced training in cyber forensics, and that is where actually the cyber forensic training lab has been set up, and they are doing that task. How effective it is, it will take a lot of years to actually realize the effectiveness of this. In addition, government has set up cyber forensic training and investigation labs in Kerala, Assam, Mizoram, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Tripura, Meghalaya, Manipur, and Jammu and Kashmir. This is as per my knowledge. It may be that there are many setups still which I am not aware of. So if there is any kind of thing, I regret that I have not been able to put it on in this slide. But I hope this is the fact which I have collected from different sources, authentic sources. In collaboration with the Data Security Council of India, NASCOM Cyber Forensics Lab have been set up at Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, and Kolkata. So we are having a lot of uh, government action as far as this is concerned. But the thing is that, is it enough? Just government taking action, is it enough, or do we need to involve corporates, NGOs, maybe some citizens need to be involved in this, some experts in cybercrime need to be involved in this to actually help government to combat this problem. So these are all some of the measures that government is taking. Now, coming to our core topic of cyber law, we have in domestic, we have a regulatory framework in domestic legal regime called IT Act 2000, and then there was an amendment by 2008 in 2008. Uh, but as I told you, that there is much still remaining. So, what is the IT Act 2000? It came in force in 17th October 2000. This is just some history which I'm talking about, which may not be that much useful right now, but I've just kept it for your reference. The IT Act also penalizes various cyber crimes and provides stricter punishments, imprisonment terms up to 10 years, and compensation up to 1 crore. So this is not that much clear to most of the people. What is the IT Act, and the interpretation is not that easy. There are various rules and norms which need to be studied before actually this interpretation can take place. So probably where government and certain institutes involved can make it simpler is that, make it simple, make the IT Act simple so that it can be understood by people. Okay, this is the crime, this is the punishment, and this crime means this. So if it is made simpler, because IT Act, if you go through the gazette, actually it's very much difficult to understand and it's too lengthy. So if the common crimes are just listed out, and what is the punishment and what is the maximum kind of penalty, if that can be listed out in an easier manner, that would be better for most of the people. But again, here the people who are making the most of it are actually cyber security advocates, or you can say cyber law advocates. If I talk about one name, Pawan Duggal, Mr. Pawan Duggal, he is actually, he was earlier anchor with Doordarshan in the news channel. And then he actually shifted to the cyber crime and cyber law related topics. And now he is a leading advocate in the Supreme Court for cyber law. And he is earning quite well and he is doing quite well. So you can just go through his profile also, you'll come to know a lot of things regarding cybercrime. So IT Act was amended by the Negotiable Instruments Act, because we have online a lot of things, financial transactions occurring online. So it required the amendment by the Negotiable Instruments Act 2002. So that was done. And then again, 2008 there was a revision, but then again these are all revisions based on 2000 act which I have listed out here. Information technology, use of electronic records and digital signatures. So digital signature is again a new avenue as far as most of the people are concerned, because we find that almost till 2015-16, till the demonetization, I would say that most of the people were not actually using online transactions much for financial, from the financial angle. Now people have started. So wherever online forms are to be submitted, digital signatures are necessary. So electronic records are not properly valid unless the digital signatures are there. So this is again one amendment which was required in 2004. Now, before going to the cyber law sections, I would just like to focus upon some terms which are important, because see, in cyber law, a lot of terms are given. Now, what does that term mean? That's very important. Like you have access, right? Now, what does it mean by access? Access means gaining entry into, instructing, or communicating with the logical, arithmetical, or memory function resources of a computer, computer system, or computer network, right? So this is the definition of access. These are some important terms which are having some legal validity. So whenever we are talking about a cyber law case coming into court, This all terms are very important, so we need to focus upon this. So I've just listed out some of the important terms over here. Addressee means a person who is intended by the originator to receive the electronic record but does not include any intermediary. Means suppose I have filed something and I want to actually receive the record, then I am can be known as the addressee. And here no intermediary is there, it is directly to the addressee. Affixing electronic signature. Now here it means adoption of any methodology or procedure by a person for the purpose of authenticating an electronic record by means of electronic signature. See, whatever is important, I've just highlighted in bold and underlined it. So that is important from our point of view. Asymmetric crypto system means a system of a secure key pairing consisting of a private key for creating a digital signature and a public key to verify the digital signature. So again, see, the technicalities are also getting more clear over here. Certifying authority means a person who has been granted a license to issue an electronic signature certificate under section 24. Now, we are not going into deep into that, but if you want, you can just look for section 24. You will get all the details about it. Communication device, again, it means cell phones, personal digital assistants, or combination of both, or any other device used to communicate, send, or transmit any text, video, audio, or image. So this can be known as a communication device. Here again, one more device can be added is wearable devices. If it is coming into the picture, if you are doing any crime is committed where wearable devices are used, are in the picture, then that also needs to be included over here. So again, everything is in clear black and white mentioned over here. What is the definition of important terms in the IT Act? Computer means any electronic, magnetic, optical, or any other high speed data processing device or system which performs logical, arithmetic, and memory functions by manipulations of electronic, magnetic, or optical impulses. Again, see, these are all very technical words. You need to be safe when you're dealing with any kind of crime in court, right? So these are all the interpretations from the advocate point of view, from the court point of view, or from the cyber cell point of view, which register the complaint. So they need to be clear about all these terms. So if you are going into this area, you need to be clear about all these terms, technical terms, what it means. Computer network, what it means: interconnection of one or more computers or computer systems through the use of satellite, microwave, terrestrial line. See, these are all the options given. So the law is very clear regarding all the specific terms that are being mentioned here. Corporate resource means corporate communication device. Computer resource means computer communication device, computer system, computer network, data, computer database, or software. So all these terms are very clearly mentioned. It has to be from among these. So if you need to add something here, that needs to go through the provisions of the Act. Computer system means a device of collection of devices. It can be a collection of device also. It can be for an organization. So it can be a collection of device also, including input and output support devices and excluding calculators which are not programmable and capable of being used in conjunction with external files. Again, see, if calculators are being used by somebody else, it cannot be covered under cybercrime. So these are all terms which are important. Cyber cafe, again, which is almost getting extinct now. Very few people are using cyber cafe. But here also we need to include that cyber cafe means any facility from where access to the internet is offered by any person in the ordinary course of business to the members of the public. Cyber security means protecting information, equipment, devices, computer resource, communication device, and information stored therein from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction. So this is cyber security definition. Data, again, very important because data is the primary concern in most of the cyber crimes. After financial crimes, probably the most crimes that have been committed is regarding the data. Data means a representation of information, knowledge, facts, concepts, or instructions which are being prepared or have been prepared in a formalized manner and is intended to be processed, is being processed, or has been processed in a computer system or computer network, and maybe in any form, including printouts, magnetic or optical storage media, punch cards, punch tapes. Again, see, all this are also included because some may be using the old method also. So that also needs to be taken into consideration, or stored internally in the memory of the computer. Digital signature, electronic form, again, all these terms are very important for us. Function in relation to a computer includes logic, control, arithmetic process, deletion, storage, and retrieval and communication or telecommunication from or within a computer. So we need to clear all these definitions before actually going into the cyber law related provisions. Informations include data, message, text, images, sound, so voice codes. Right now, see, it is getting more complicated because now we are talking about, uh, I mean, audio, video also being a part of the evidence. Earlier, only text and data was there. Now we are talking about audio, video, um, all kind of images, all kind of things can be included under the information part. Intermediary means any person who, on behalf of another person, receives, stores, or transmits that record or provides any service with respect to that record, and includes telecom service providers, network service providers, internet service providers, web hosting service providers, search engines, online payment sites, online auction sites, online marketplaces, and cyber cafes. So, all these are called intermediaries who actually are involved or who have access to somewhat some part of your data, not maybe not all but some part of your data. Key pair again is a asymmetric crypto system, which means a private key, and it's mathematically related public key, which is so related that the public key can verify digital signature created by the private key. Now it is for authentication. Originator means the person who is sending, generating, storing, or transmitting any electronic message, or causes any electronic message to be sent, generated, but does not include any intermediary. That means I am directly sending it, I am an originator. Private key and public key, I don't think I need to clear it because it is a basic part of cybersecurity. Subscriber here means a person in whose name the electronic signature certificate is issued, right? Suppose if I am in my favor the electronic signature certificate is issued, then I am the subscriber to that. Secure system means which is actually uh, computer hardware, software, and procedure. That's a collection of all that are reasonably secure from unauthorized access and misuse, provide reasonable level of reliability and correct operations, reasonably suited to performing intended functions. That means whatever they are intended, that functions they should be performing. If they are not performing, then again it is not a secure system. And there should be some security procedures which are strictly followed and adhered to. So now we come to the IT Act 2000 aims and objectives. Now, when this was made, there were a lot many aims. I've just listed out the aims, but I would just like to aims and objectives, but I would like to focus upon the main things. To amend existing laws in India to facilitate e-commerce. Now, see, previously, as I was talking about, old way of functioning was where people used to actually directly go to the shop and buy, directly go went to the bank branch and they used to do. Still, I see that many senior citizens, in the name of taking the pension, withdrawing whenever the pension is deposited, they actually go to the bank, they sit for 1 hour, chat with their previous colleagues, and then they collect the money and come back because they are not that much comfortable with the um, electronic method, and they want to meet their old friends. Their whole vision and the whole complete way of working is totally different. So you'll find them directly going to the branch and sitting and chatting with the people. They will be asking the bank officials how they are, etc. So all this is the previous generation which we are talking about. Now is e-commerce. Now basically even a college going student is ordering anything online, starting from pizza to dress material, everything. So what we are talking about is we need to amend the e-commerce facilitation rules in this existing laws. So existing laws were physical crime, now it needs to incorporate e-commerce also into it. Legal recognition needs to be provided to electronic records and digital signatures. Now this was in 2000 that we are talking about. So in 2000 these are all the objectives: to provide legal recognition to transactions carried out. Because see, suppose I have bought something online, now you need to provide a legal recognition that okay, this transaction has been carried. I have a message that I'm receiving from the bank, now that is a valid transaction, right? If somebody says that I have not received, then what to do? Maybe the payment or some kind of document, etc. Then there needs to be some kind of a mechanism which needs to redress this. So legal recognition to the transactions carried out online, that needs to be so that was one of the objectives. Regulatory body was required because now at that time in 2000 internet was just at its commencing stage, starting stage. So now what we were seeing is that there are many people who want to access a lot of things, right? But there was no mechanism in place to redress the complaints, any crime or any fraud happening. So this was required. So by this thing, the aims and objectives were listed out, and to create civil and criminal liabilities. Again, if any crime is committed, who is liable for that? Who has to pay? What will be the provisions for that? What will be the penalty? All these things were listed out over here in the form of aims and objectives, and then they were turned into sections. So a lot of objectives are listed out. Main is to amend the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934 so as to facilitate electronic fund transfers between financial institutions. Because see, if I have transferred fund from my one account to another account, or from my account to another person's account, now what is the proof? What is the validity of that transaction? So they need amendment from the Reserve Bank side also, which was done. Bankers Book Evidence Act. Again, see, all these are very technical issues which we may not go into, but these are all things which are required from the financial security angle for the transaction to get legal sanctity or legal status. So this is what we are talking about, Electronic Act. I would just go, we are running, I would just like to focus upon the main part here. So I'm just skipping some slides. See, IT Act consisted of 90 sections spread over 13 chapters. IT Act 2000, if you want, you can download it and you can view it. It's a very good document if you have the time and the patience to go through it. But it covers 13 chapters. Section 91, 92, 93, and 94 of the Principal Act were omitted by IT Amendment Act 2000. So some sections were omitted because that they were no longer relevant, and has two schedules. Now, the Schedule 3 and 4 were omitted by the Information Technology Amendment Act 2008. Again, what I'm talking about is lot of sections you will find that they are irrelevant in today's context. So they need to be refined. So 2008 it was again refined, again amended, but there are still a lot of changes which need to take place. So I've already talked about this. The aim was to give fill up to the growth of electronic based transactions, to provide legal recognition for e-commerce and e-transactions, to prevent computer based crimes, and to ensure security practices and procedures. Applicability of the act is to the whole of India or any crime committed in India by any national. Again, if there is any foreign national involved here, then probably there is some rules governing the foreign act which will come into place. But otherwise, if you are an Indian who has committed any offense in India or outside India also, those laws will be applicable to you, right? As I told you, these are this act cannot be this is not applicable to all these documents or transactions. A negotiable instrument as defined in section 13 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. Again, I'm not going into the details. We will directly go to the section part, which is very important from our point of view. These are all the schemes of the act. Now these are the offenses. Uh, Now we'll just take a small break here if there are any questions. Any questions from any participants or any thing they would like to share regarding the session? I would then like to continue if there are no questions. Okay. I don't think there are any questions. And actually, it's a festive time also, so I think people would like it to be completed fast so that they can celebrate and do their routine work. Okay. Weaknesses in cyber law. There are a lot of weaknesses. See, what I'm talking about here is that first weakness is that our cyber law is not creating that much awareness among the general public. Though some institutions are taking it up, but what we are finding is that just like government benefit schemes, many of the beneficiaries do not know what are the benefits that they can get from the government. Similarly, cyber law related awareness is not there. This is where the advocates are really earning well because of this lack of awareness, whether it is industries, corporates, or individuals, or net worth individuals, those who have very good financial capability. Those individuals, whenever any crime happens, they are not aware regarding what are their rights, where they should approach. Even the mechanism is not aware. Most of the police officers also, if you go to a normal police station and somebody wants to actually register a complaint, many of them don't consider that as a crime. They say that अच्छा वो तो आपने OTP शेयर किया होगा, आपने ये किया होगा. The people are not, I mean, the police officers are not willing to lodge an FIR regarding that. They also, most of them also don't know that, police officers don't know that there is a cyber cell where this complaint can be registered. And cyber cell details are also not that much evident to the public. So weaknesses in cyber law are definitely there because they are not, I mean, from the law point of view, if I'm talking about, then 2000 and 2008, now we are into 2020. Now technology is increasing. The criminals mentality is much forward than what our governing agencies are thinking or they are capable of. You have a lot of hacking taking place, not only in India, outside also. You have new methods of cybercrime coming up everywhere. But still, the laws are old. So there need to be a revision of a lot of provisions of these laws. We'll be seeing some of the laws here. I mean, I'll not be able to cover all the particular provisions or sections. We'll try to see some cases and some sections, some case studies where we can clear how this crime was happened and what was the result of this crime being reported. So there are definitely weaknesses, I agree, but then this there has to be first an awareness about at least the existing cyber laws, right? आप लोग एक्चुअली अगर एग्जिस्टिंग साइबर लॉ के बारे में नहीं जानते तो आप नए लॉस के बारे में या उसके वीकनेसेस आइडेंटिफाई करने में बहुत मुश्किल होगी. देयर आर ओनली अ फ्यू पीपल, right? I talked about Mr. Pawan Duggal. Now he is actually earning very nicely by concentrating upon this. This is probably one area where I would advise, if you are, most of you might be in the academic field. So if you are faculties and if you want to guide your students, if students come to you for guidance, asking which particular sector should I go into, from a earning perspective and from a security perspective, then probably I would suggest cyber security consultant, cyber auditor, cyber advocate. All these are fields which are going to give very good returns, rather than the simple thing of going for a programming job or going for a normal 9 to 5 job. They can be security consultants and they get paid quite well. Depends upon the company also. I just heard, I would not like to disclose the name of the company, but there was a cyber attack on a company, and its data was lost. uh, I mean, a lot of data was actually, they were not able to access the data. So somebody had played some kind of mischief with them. Now they did not want to disclose this, so they hired a private ethical hacker who actually retrieved all the data for them. But this was not reported anywhere. Through my known source, I came to know about it, so I'm talking about that. So these are reputed companies, so they are not reporting. So non-reporting, uh, lack of awareness of rules, laws, this is more prevalent than the weaknesses. And the weakness of the government, I would like to say, is that they are not able to create awareness to the level that is required. Maybe they are trying, but people are not still aware about various provisions. And I have not seen many webinars being conducted during the lockdown also regarding the cyber laws. I have seen a lot of AI related, lot of machine learning related, lot of quizzes being conducted, but nowhere I have seen that cyber crime. So I was very happy when this kind of a STTP came into the domain, that okay, somebody is caring about the public. That's why I initially congratulated the team that organized this, because this is very much required and this awareness is probably very minimal right now. So coming to the, I hope there are no other questions, so I can just move forward. Now coming to the offenses and sections. Offense I've listed out to make it more simpler, because see, if I actually use the technical language of the IT Act, this is not that much clear to the individual. So let us go to make it quite simple. Tampering with computer source documents, section 65. Hacking with computer systems, data alteration, etc., section 66. Now I'll go into a little bit detail of that. Sending offensive messages through communication service, etc., section 66A. Retain any stolen computer resource or communication device, section 66B. Fraudulent use of electronic signature, section 66C. Cheats by personating, that means I take the guise of somebody else and try to cheat you. So that is section 66D. Publishing obscene images, which can lead to pornography also, section 66E. Cyber terrorism, 66F. So these are all some provisions which are very strongly there, and I'm focusing upon this because these are the most common type of things that are happening right now. Publishes or transmits unwanted material. Now unwanted definition is definitely there, which is hurting the sentiments of some community, some kind of section, or some related thing which is actually deploring the individual rights in some manner, or showing you in a low uh, kind of profile. So that kind of a thing where you are publishing or transmitting some content. That's why I actually say that if we start the awareness campaign, probably half of our 50% plus of our videos and images that are coming by the so-called WhatsApp university would stop, because the admin will also realize that admin can be responsible for all the content in some or the other manner. So a lot of content, whether it is political, apolitical, it is actually individual based, community based, they are deploring a lot of communities, whether it is Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, etc. So that may come under the unwanted material transmission. So section 67. Publishing or transmitting sexually explicit material. Again, this is banned in India, so 67A is applicable. Abusing children online. This is a very big industry right now where children are being used for such activities. And child pornography is also too much used right now in the international domain as well as Indian domain. So in the Indian domain, it is not that evident to people, but this carries on in the background. So there are a lot of uh, efforts being done to curb this menace. 67B, preservation of information by intermediary. That means suppose if I my information is stored by some intermediary, just like we had seen who are the intermediaries, any service providers. So if they are actually selling the information or disclosing the information, my information to somebody else, then I can actually sue them under section 67C. Breach of confidentiality and privacy. You have something confidential, somebody has um, tried to take it without your knowledge. So that is section 72. Again, in this context, I would like to say that some things are not evident. That suppose if my mobile is here, my wife is accessing my mobile in my absence without my particular consent, it may, though it does not lead to any loss as such, but it may lead to my confidentiality or privacy breach. So I can sue. In foreign countries this is happening. In India we have such a structure where that awareness is not there. Even the children mobiles, if they are above 18, you cannot actually uh, invade their privacy without their knowledge. Disclosure of information in breach of contract, right? If suppose there is a breach of contract, and that section 72A happens, some MOU is signed and some clause is breached, then section 72A is applicable. Publishing false digital signature certificates, this is again rampant in India, section 73 and 74. Sending threatening messages by email, this is very much evident right now. You may find a lot of case studies regarding this, that I'm not having some, or I'm having some ideological difference with somebody. It may be between parties also. Like we have a lot of bucks of political parties, so they are not agreeing on some point and they send a threatening message by email to somebody else. Or I don't like a person, I send a threatening email by message or email. So that is under section 503 IPC, Indian Penal Code. Sending defamatory messages by mail, this is section 499 IPC. Forgery of electronic records, some electronic records I have forged, then that is actually section 463 IPC. Bogus websites or cyber frauds, that is again 420 IPC. Email spoofing, right? I hope you are aware of this, so I'm not going into the details because this is, I understand, the fifth day of the uh, session. So I think to all the basic things have been covered, like which all cyber crimes have occurred, etc. So I'm not telling what is email spoofing, what is web jacking, etc. So they are actually also applicable under section 463 IPC and 383 IPC. Email abuse, section 500 IPC. Online sale of drugs, now NCB has been very active right now, Narcotics Control Bureau, so we know about a lot of things about drugs. Some drug names which we were not knowing, we started knowing through these some of the channels. So narcotic drugs and uh, psychotropic substances, NDPS Act 1985, that is an offense. Online sale of arms, that means if you are selling any weapons which you are not authorized to, then Arms Act also you are prosecutable. Now coming to the details. Yeah, I'm coming to that details. So when you're destroying, deleting, or altering any information residing in computer resource or diminishing its value or utility, or affects it injuriously by any means, then that is coming under section 43. So if there is any kind of, so if you are stealing, concealing, destroying, or altering, or causing any person to steal, conceal, it may not be that you are only stealing. If you are uh, abetting somebody in stealing it, then also you are responsible for this under section 43. So punishment is, it may extend up to 2 to 3 years imprisonment with a fine which may extend up to 5 lakhs. That depends upon again the extent of damage that has been conducted. Tampering with computer source documents. I'll just check the chat. Yeah. So unknowingly or knowingly, if somebody is concealing, destroying, or altering some intentional knowledge causes to conceal or destroy any particular important source code from a computer, I'm deleting something from the computer which may be important, then somebody else's computer, then it is actually tampering with computer source documents. So it may be at an institutional level also. Suppose if I am leaving the job, what I do is that I have some problem with the management. What I do is that I delete all the important documents. important. So they will be now struggling for the thing unless they have a central depository. So this is actually a tampering which comes under section 65. 66 again, where somebody is actually destroying or altering residing in a computer or dimension, whether whoever commits hacking shall be punished with imprisonment up to 3 years or up to 2 lakhs rupees or with both. Again, some sections may be overlapping, so you may find it overlapping, but I'll just try to focus a little bit fast over here on. I'll go a little bit fast here because we need to complete the section, next section also, which I need to cover. Section 66A, punishment for sending offensive messages. Any person who sends by means of computer resource or communication device any information that is grossly offensive, as I told you that it actually is creating problems for anybody, right? In terms of the language, or it is creating some enmity, hatred among some communities, etc. Then that is punishable for a term which may extend up to 3 years and with fine. Section 66C, punishment for identity theft, right? If I actually use the electronic signature password of somebody else, I can be punished for a term which may extend up to 3 years and can be fined up to rupees 1 lakh. Again, these are very small provisions right now. I think they should be increased. Punishment for cheating by personation, like I told you that here also again 3 years and shall be liable to a fine up to 1 lakh rupees. 66E and 67A, that is also punishable again, 1 lakh rupees and 2 lakh rupees. 66E is up to 2 lakh rupees. Obscene information, I'm just going a little bit fast here, I'm not covering this. Pornography is very much punishable. I think so, there are some chat. Yeah, I'm talking about the 2000 Act. So these updations are still not included in the 2000 Act. Now I'll be covering it the 2008 and the earlier next sections. So there are many such sections which are there. I'm just skipping some of them because it will take a lot of time to cover all this. I want to go to the research part also, research opportunities. Installing software and hardware acts covered protected system, whether your system is protected or not. Installing hardware software uh, which are already being used, port scanning. So all this are acts covered under this section of protected system, and there is a huge imprisonment up to 10 years. So I'll come to some examples here very fast. Now, power of police also I have actually just listed out. If you can refer it, I'll hand over this PPT also at the end of the session. So you can just go through the details. Power of police to investigate various things. Under that also some sections are there. Now, these are some of the cases that we are talking about, some case studies. This case was related to posting of obscene and defamatory messages about a divorcee woman in a Yahoo Messenger group. This happens many times that this is one of the most common cases. That's why I've taken this. Now here the section 767 is applicable, and different sections 469 and 509 are applicable under IPC. So there needs to be a merging of these section, and then the term needs to be given. So this is again one case study which I've included here. There are many such case studies also which I have included. I'm just skipping that right now. Uh, I'll just hand over this so you can just go through this. Do's and don'ts are also I have mentioned here, that what happens, what you should be doing and what you should not be doing when you are on social media. Banking fraud, again, you should not be entertaining calls from bank authorities, those who are posing as bank authorities, and you should not share your OTPs. Now RBI is also very active on this front. Facebook related frauds are also happening, so that do's and don'ts also I have mentioned here. So I'm just focusing upon the one more part here before I go to the research opportunities. I just want to cover this part. What is the evidence which we are talking about, right? Now, whenever any electronic evidence is presented, right, it needs to be clear what type of evidence it is and what is the kind of electronic record which we are talking about. Yeah, I'll be sharing the PPT with you, not an issue about it. And I have various materials also regarding this, because when I was compiling this, I have referred earlier also a lot of content for different talks earlier. So I have a good collection, but I'll refer this PPT to you, and some links also I can refer. So Section 3 of the Indian Evidence Act. Actually, this is also a very good document. I'll forward this also to you. This covers what is the electronic evidence verification process and how this particular thing can be completed in a manner which is satisfied, where the court is satisfied regarding the evidences. So many times it happens that when you are actually doing some online transaction, there are some safeguards you need to keep so that you can have the evidence with you when that you have been cheated, and that evidence will be helpful for this production into the cyber court. So here I've just listed out this. So this also I'll be sharing with you. This document also I'll be sharing with you. This is in detail. There's a lot of pages, almost 11 pages. So I'm not covering that right now. Coming back to the research opportunities. Research opportunities are in machine learning. You might be aware about machine learning, but if you're not aware, I'll just summarize it for you. Machine learning is a part of AI, actually type of AI, machine learning and deep learning, which actually provides computers with the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So, like, we are focusing upon development of intelligent human beings in terms of machines. Data analytics is again one field which is to be integrated with AI in the cyber security domain. So data analytics is a process of inspecting, cleaning, transforming, and modeling data. Right now we are dealing with unstructured data. So a lot of unstructured data is there, and it makes it more complicated for us to deal with such data as far as evidence is concerned. You might have heard that a lot of cases WhatsApp chats are retrieved. They've been deleted, they've been retrieved. So that leads to a lot of things where certain patterns also need to be generated. So some research can be done on that pattern generation also. So you can use data analytics, machine learning, integrate it with cyber security, and then you can have a system which is in place. So I would like to focus upon the next 5 years or 10 years of research would be focusing upon ML plus data analytics plus cyber security plus image processing plus blockchain, right? So there are a lot many things which can be done in using AI. Data mining can be applied, AI can be applied, data streams can be easily integrated by machine learning algorithms. So mobile device data is there. Now suppose if I want to actually find out what is the tendency that a person may commit a cyber crime, then that can also be known with the help of machine learning, with the help of pattern analysis. So this is very important, and social media information is there in public domain. Like suppose if I say that a person how active he is on social media, if that can be compiled and there can be such a model prepared which can allow analysis of that, and based on that some pattern can be generated saying that okay, this person 70% he may commit a crime, 30% he may not commit a crime. So then we can have a classification based on that, and then we can focus upon those individuals who are more inclined to commit cybercrime. So they can be prevented by using some mechanisms regarding this. So as I told you, supervised and unsupervised, two types of learnings are there. Supervised learnings are where we have a particular class in which we classify whether it is yes, no, valid, invalid. Such classes are there. And unsupervised means we actually form clusters. So we have document clusters coming. We have a lot of other clusters in which we can focus upon. So clustering is also a part of unsupervised learning. We have under supervised learning we have neural networks, we have SVM, that is support vector machines. We can detect, we can do classification and anomaly detection with the help of that. We can have naive bayes algorithm decision tree analysis being performed using supervised learning. So supervised and unsupervised learning can be very much part of cybersecurity challenges. Now, cybersecurity challenges here for machine learning for detecting intrusion detection is that you will have to deal with these challenges if you're going into research into this domain. Large data size, so you'll have to use analytics to some extent in this. That's why I've combined data analytics into this, smart analytics or big data analytics into this. High dimensionality, there are many dimensions. Right now we are not dealing with structured data, we are dealing with unstructured data. So there's a huge dimension of data that is available with you, so that needs to be investigated. Temporal nature of the data. Now, very lot of data are unnecessary data or temporal data which may not be useful to us in the long run. So that also needs to be dealt with. Then skewed class distribution, that again we need to put it into a particular class and we need to distribute it. We need to check like it is like we need to look for a small kind of data, small kind of information, small kind of a decision to be taken based on lot of data. So we need to go for that. Pre-processing is also a challenge because we have a lot of unstructured data coming through. And high performance computing is critical, so we need to have the hardware and software to support it. We need scalable and distributed intrusion detection to be part of this. So as I told you, we need to classify the documents. So one research area can be document classification. A lot of work has already been done into it, but still there is a lot of scope for that. We need to stop bad sites or messages by content that is spawned. We need to classify those sites into good sites and bad sites. One of my students is doing a research into that right now, scholars. So good classifier like naive bias, we have a lot of models which are there. You can extend those models also. And there are some problems regarding information retrieval techniques which has to be dealt with. There are some scope for research in that also. SVM approaches are considered to be better comparatively, so you can extend that work also. And avoid cyber terrorism sites. So you need to classify whether it is a terrorism related site or not. So we need to avoid such sites which are promoting cyber terrorism. Like this is what I have already talked about. Now, trending research areas, authorization infrastructures, again, creating infrastructures which are smart and which are low cost infrastructure is a big challenge in the network domain. Autonomous security, again, without human intervention, very important. So that is probably the future. Biometrics is already a lot of work is being done and has been done. So this is an area right now which is prevalent. Biometric interaction with cyber domains. Now that interaction means what? That suppose how biometrics can be interaction, how it can be interconnected with cyber domains so that cyber investigation can be done faster. So for this again we need to have all the details of uh, the stakeholders there in any company. That is again leads to a lot of mindset change also, because any person joining any company, all the details should be there with the company. Any person joining even as a maid in a particular house needs some biometric interaction so that that can be done, but that is all not possible right now, but it may be the future. Cloud security is definitely a domain which involves a lot of research because clouds are here to stay. Computer forensic, big investigation point right now, and a lot of research is being done. And if you count computer forensic, I am including mobile forensics also into it. I'm combining it, so that will be a big field for research. Cryptography and formal methods, that's also a big method, though a lot of work has been done on cryptography front, but still there is a lot of scope for that. Forensic investigation of digital image processing, very important. Digital images are very important for detecting a lot of crimes and criminals. So this can be one of the applications that research can be done into. Reverse engineering and vulnerability analysis, this is one area where probably you can do a lot of research, because vulnerability analysis is very important. Because in cybercrime, if you would have gone through the earlier sessions, probably we were talking about, I mean, some speaker might have focused upon this vulnerability analysis. So that's a big field where research can be done. RFID security, secure event processing, social influence on social networks. Also, steganography and stiga analysis. This is my favorite topic because I have done a lot of research into this. Blockchain, template-free encryption. So, a lot of scope is there where research areas related to cybersecurity can be done. Blockchain is particularly for authentication of the documents and proper adoption of safe documentation online. Right. So this is from my side. If any questions, though I am also a learner of this, so I may not consider myself an expert, but then reading and certain kind of involvement into this has taken me to a level where probably I have some knowledge about this topic. Yeah. Divya Nishant has one question that's at the end of the session. Please guide regarding future of cybersecurity. Future is very much bright. I would advise that right now, see, there is no such kind of career where we are not finding ample opportunities. Uh, the most you can say sought over careers right now are cybersecurity. Second is yeah, cybersecurity. Second is actually, other than that, we are talking about data science, IoT, machine learning. All these are very good areas where careers can be built. So cybersecurity is a very good area. I hope cybersecurity awareness is there. Right now, a lot of people actually are having the. Lot of my students actually have completed their cybersecurity and cyber law course, and they are into corporates where they are. Some are doing freelancing. They are actually consultants. And second is, some people are there who are actually, some of my students are into as a cyber law consultant in the company, where they guide the policies of cyber law in the company. Some are as cyber auditors. Some people are like as ethical hackers. So there's a lot of scope into this. Actually, there are a lot of incidents where money has been transferred from one account to another. Like few from SBI itself, it happened that one of my not really very close but known persons, actually, his wife's account was hacked, wherein in the night, actually, he had around 3 lakhs in that account. And in the night, he got a lot of messages. By morning 2 o'clock, when he saw the messages, almost only 1000 balance was there. Others were transferred from his account into some other account. Now that is being investigated. He has already immediately complained to the cyber cell also, and to SBI people also, and that investigation is going on. But still that case has not been solved. So I was told by him that they would be crediting the amount, SBI would be crediting the amount back, because it is not his fault or mistake. He has not shared anything with anybody due to which this has happened. It's a hacking that has happened in some way. So they have said, but still the amount has not come. So I'm not clear about the amount reversal part. But again, if banks should take the authority, if banks are promoting online banking and online transactions, then banks should be taking the initiative and giving the benefit to the customer. But again, and, we have a lot of reservations in this. Uh, yeah, Professor Neeraj Dubey, you can ask the question. You can ask on chat also, no issues. Actually, see, blacklisted sites are already there, and there are, see, right now, I would like to give my example that when I was studying in college, that was long back, I received a email saying that from a foreign person saying that you have a that email said that you have won a lottery of 1 million. If you want to just avail of that lottery, you will have to pay 51,000 as charges for exchange according to that UK government policy. And once you pay that, you will transfer it to your account. It was very authentic mail, and then they were on chat also, and Yahoo chat. They were very active, and they actually gave us a lot of details of them, etc. And I was somewhat convinced at that time because I was at college. I was not aware about all these aspects. But then I thought I should be getting a second opinion, so I went to the bank for the forex department, and I just met the manager and I told him this. He said that this is totally a fraud, and most of the people they identify themselves as UK based or some people, but they are actually located in Delhi. They may be Africans, they may be Indians also. And what they do is that they once 51,000 is transferred, they may again ask for some more amount, saying that there is some legal issue. And then after they get all the money, then they actually do not communicate anything. So he said one of his managers, bank managers, also has be fallen a prey to this. So don't go for this. So this is the most common type of thing that is happening, but still people are greedy. There are many job offers also coming. Reliance is recruiting. Reliance never, you have not sent your resume to Reliance directly. Why should Reliance mail you and say, or Videocon or Reliance or any such company? So this happens. Fine. So yeah, that's all from my side. If uh, Neeraj sir, you can place in the chat window also your query. I think so. You're talking, but you're still muted. You can post your query to me directly or in the chat window also. Yeah, actually, I have not talked about digital marketing here because that's a totally different domain. But web marketing, digital marketing, all this is also a big scope for cybercrime, and a lot of crimes are happening, including that also. So that may be also an area of research. But basically, I have talked about the core IT related areas of research. I have not gone on to the marketing part. Fine, sir. That is all from my side. Yeah. There's one more question: steganography and stega analysis. Actually, steganography is where you're hiding. Say, suppose image steganography means when you're hiding inside an image some text. So that is done by mainly for transmitting information which is not evident to others. Similarly, text steganography is there where you are hiding text within text. So that is steganography, where you are having that mechanism of hiding. Stiga analysis is where you are trying to decrypt or analyze that and trying to decrypt it. uh, you are not hiding it in particular, but you are trying to actually fetch that hidden message. So that is called stiga analysis. See, BTech professional can go for cyber law, but there are some kind of don't go for a short-term courses on cyber law. Go for verified courses. I will not like to name the universities, but if you search on it on the net, you will get a lot of universities who are offering cyber law related specializations courses. Right? Normally, after ideal would be after 12th. If you're going for law, that would be better. Or if you're going for LLB also after your graduation, then probably you can check for such universities which are providing cyber law as a specialization, not just normal law. Bulk email processing, actually, again, see, bulk email processing, I'm not much aware of, but there are some provisions to monitor it. Probably there are some safeguards in the firewall which can avoid spams from entering. Even there are some particular firewalls which are developed which actually block the uh, some of the bulk emails sent. But then again, there may be some important messages also. Suppose if some conference is there in bulk, some email is coming from somewhere, it may block that also. But there is of course that chance. But other provisions I'm not that much aware of, but firewalls can definitely do that. Research avenues in that particular area, which area? Steganography and stiga analysis. You can go for text and video steganography and stiga analysis. That is an area which is having a lot of scope still. uh, Image steganography, lot of work has been done, so I don't see much future there. But you can go for text and video steganography, or you can integrate big data with that also, because it will deal with unstructured data as a steganography mode. Fine. I'll do one thing actually. I'll just share my email ID with you. Any questions, you can just drop a mail. I'll be happy to reply. And I'm also actually in the process of editing a book also, so that will also be soon into this area only of cyber crimes and cyber security. So probably if you are in contact with me, I can notify you when that particular book is published also. It may take a few months, 4 to 5 months still. Fine. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Professor Iyer, for further
See,
details.
one more question is there probably from Mr. Jaideep, saying that a lot of fraudulent sites and apps are there, but still they are not banned. Actually, see here, we don't have actually, to be very honest. I mean, I regret saying this. I should not be saying, but probably government is. I mean, most of the governments, whether it is from any political domain in India, they are not that much aware about this thing, and they are not interested in this. They just are interested in enjoying the power. And we don't have actually, India is probably one country which in which probably we are not like Canada or any other nation where you have experts from that field as ministers. So suppose if I say that information broadcasting, science and technology, all these ministries in India are headed by such people who probably are not aware about that, and their IAS officers who are working under them, they guide them what to do. So they are not aware, they don't have a clear cut vision of this. I'm very sorry to say that again, this should not be part of the session. But this is the reason why we are not active on this front. Only when a particular politician or a particular person who is close to the political system, his account gets hacked, is action taken against such people. So apps, again, we are now focusing upon Atmanirbhar Bharat. I hope that we are creating such apps and such sites which are totally Indian and which will not actually lead to any such fraud. But again, authorities, I can't take a call on this, because whether such apps are not banned, that is not, I'm not the right person to answer that, because I am not the authority for banning that. But obviously there should be some banning, or some reconsideration happening every 3 months. Every 3 months, web apps, and just like it should be a quarterly review of, and then based on that, this particular thing can be done. Fine. That's all from my side. It was a pleasure on this festive days actually to interact with you, and I wish you a very happy and safe Deepavali, and stay safe, stay healthy. Together we can fight this pandemic and we can come out of this. And for any collaborations regarding research, or you can contact me on my email ID provided. I'll be happy to be a part of the research team. Thank you.
Thank you for sir for such a wonderful session and handling the QA session in such a wonderful manner and answering all the queries. Very much thank you, sir.
Okay, so can I leave?
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So participants, so next speaker will be Dr. Karan Verma, right? Assistant Professor, NIT Delhi. So we will start the session
Within 5 minutes.
within 5 minutes. Kindly be present. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Karan.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. I think supposed to be good morning. Is 11:13.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Just give me 2 minutes.
Need to be
I just
hurried.
uploading. I just downloading my presentation. Okay. Just give me 2 minutes.
Sure.
Bookmark. Supposed to be, they have some issue in my presentation. So I just do one thing. Now is okay? Visible?
Yes, Dr. Verma, your voice.
Yeah. Sorry. Actually, right now I am in my hometown in village. They have some internet issues, so didn't downloaded some presentations. Now we can start. Good morning, all the participation, all participate
Formally welcome you.
who's participate in PEPDP. Sound visible?
Yes, sir.
Sound okay?
Yes, sir. Sound
Okay.
clear.
So,
Let me, sir,
okay.
formally welcome you. Sir,
Now we are taking. Okay, sir.
Just sir, wait for the 1 minute.
Okay, no issue, no issue.
Okay. So myself, Dr. Pankaj Nambi, welcome the speaker of today's session, Dr. Karan Verma. So I am thankful to Dr. Karan for sparing the precious time for sharing the useful thoughts among the participants. So now I invite my colleague, Professor Sachin Bagga, to introduce the speaker of the session.
so participants, our next speaker is Dr. Karan Verma from NIT Delhi. He is assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Regarding his qualifications, he is postdoc from University of California, USA, PhD from UTP Malaysia, MTech from IIT Roorkee, BTech from Rajasthan University. He is having around 14 SCE publications, 15 international conferences, 5 book chapters, 10 projects. So his area of interest include security, and today we will learn domain-based message authentication reporting and conference from Dr. Karan Verma. Sir, thank you for accepting our invitation, and sir, kindly proceed. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, doctor. Good morning, all my participate in the FTP. Today we have to little bit about understand about the domain-based message authentications, reporting, and the conferences. This is basically from working. I also associate with IETF and ICANN, and they are basically broad companies or the association. They are working under these. They have generated RFCs to build them to more secure in the base of domestic as well as international for domain base. Okay, so domain base message authentications. We have to take my presentation. Uh, and this is the outline of my presentations. So we are go little bit about the domain based authentications. How can you do for authentications, then how can you do for reporting, then conferencing, how can you done for this is the I'm telling about the public surface domain. uh, I'm not going for the just like say uh, uh, interdomain and the inside the domains. We have to tell about everything about the extensions of PDS. What is the PDS? The PDS is public surface domain. I'm just lot of RFCs. These RFCs we have to go deeply. 15th, then we are producing one internet draft, submitting in 2015. These called for BCP 78 and 79. This is the draft. If you want, I will just share the draft link also. You have to read these drafts. This draft is currently working. Under every 6 months they have to be upgraded the draft, and these draft to be more consent about the authentications. How can you do for authentication? First of all, we know a little bit about the authentications. The authentication is just like for we say we right now we are working in the just like for mail orientations or organizations can express domain level policies as well as the performance for message validation. There are two things are the validation and the verifications. Validation message validations, uh, We can say the validation, dispositions, and reporting that mail receiving the organizations, this mail organizations to be domain representative, either nodes in the tree below, which is the registration occur, or node where the registration have been occurred. What is the meaning of registration will occur? Which domain you have to be identified. We are broadly all over the world, the domain way we have to be the country wise. American zones are there, Latin America zones are there, Asia zones are there, Australian zones are there, Australian New Zealand zones are there, then African zones are there. These zones are these present. Right now I'm in my hometown, and some issues for internet, so we didn't. Internet issues have some issues, so I'm presenting my phone. Okay. We can say the both presentations, just like for if does not permit the domain name, we have both first RFC and the for the face list or single organization. DMC leaves public surface list the determination with the domains are organizations. These organizations domains, these organizations are not only for public but subject to be DMRC processing also. Domains may be either is organization domain and the subdomain of the organization listed in publicly surface list. Okay, for domain list in a public surface list, they have two things are there: TLD and the domain there exit between the TLD and the public surface list on the organization domain level. The policy can be only the published for the organization level domain, as well as the policy can also be the part of the existing domain. Okay, they have no method right now. The no method is available for these domain to be express policy or the receiving feedback. Okay, reporting for the subdomain. They are right now they have no policy to available to be providing the subdomain tree as well as the domain tree also. Okay, they are, this is the missing policy of the receiving part methodology for non existing organizations level domain to prevent as well as the prevent to the identify for the domain about the emails list. Such one example, just like for Amazon, the country code. The country code basically we wrote them TLD, and if you require the country code, then we write down CC in the above, CC as the upper side and TLD have to back side, which is the publicly subdomain for the. They have two type of domains are available. First is the government organization domain, and second is the commercial use, just like for .gov example and .com. There are two things are there. The .com is commercial use and the .gov is used for publicly use. Okay, this is the two things are there. That is the another thing is the country as well as the example. How can you identify these examples? Just like for I am writing domain .gov.example, just like supposed to be I am using India, then in space, then txt, then whatever information email ID you have to write them. This is the policy have to provide it here. Just like for DMC recording, uh, DMC required providing the policy for reporting destination for the mail sending from @gov.example. However, due to the DMRC is currently method to discover and the apply policy at the organization domain level and non-existing organization domain of @for, just like for I'm taking example for.com. Okay, this is that not cannot fill under the DMC policies are there. Now, okay, this is done. Now, this is my how to do know for email not getting the spam. This is the next important task before we know about the what is the example for TXT. TXT is scalable policy. This is the specification from the algorithms. We can use them for agenda for receiving the government policies algorithms as well as the government policy execution. How can you there then? First of all, we have to be allow them the operation of the public surface domain. Public surface domain is just like for express policy at the level of PSD that the cover all the organization domain that not be specification published in DMRC record. First of all, first step number one. Then second steps we have to done is for extension, extend the DMRC policy query functionality to detect and the process such as the policies. This policy have to be covered up. And the third one, we have to be describes receive the feedback for the such policy makers. These policy makers we have to be know about the which method they will providing the feedback we can get in that, then we can do it. The next step we have to be do it for provides control to mitigate protections for policy considerations association with the extension. This is the 3 steps or 4 steps to be identified to the documentations. How can you do for documentation? How can you email to receive them? The just like for if you have new DMRC is 7489. This is the IFC indicate required handling policy for non-existing subdomains. If you have non-existing subdomain, so we can't be considered for whenever the request comes through the particular domains. Just like for specification provide supporting phase development for PSD, DMRC, but is the extension for useful for more queries? If unsubscribe rejection risk for the mail properties to become to the domain that does not exist at the subsequencing layer or layer up and down, that they are those operation risk to the require the policy treatment. Just like for rejection, if the rejections come, they comes lower. If the rejection rate is not lower, then increment counter by step number 1. This is the 2 basic steps to be identified. Next, just like for the second steps we have to be covering, we can say the second step is additional benefit to the DMRC is to be identify, just like for step number 2, we and this additional benefits we can say before we have to apply for DMRC extension clarification in the existing requirement based on the requirement of DMRC 7489. We show the DMRC should functionality about the organization level for existing domain. These existing domain for record for publicly as well as for mail example. Just like for I'm taking example requesting for 1-to-1, then we can set the examples of second implementation. These implementation we have to be sending the request and we have to receive the request to the particular informations are there. Just like for they have 4 steps are there, we have to cover them, these 4 steps, and they are steps. Just like for DMRC SPK, this is the going for the spam. If the spam framework not be identified, then we have to be identify the mail and then we can identify the request. Then next, the policy. How can you SPM have to work? First of all, we have to identify the providing PSB. Just like for example for Google, these domains are effective organization domain discussing in the simply say we have to discussing in the surface list. These surface list for the identify the public for DMRC purpose. They have to provide the request to the protections of DMRC requesting, as well as for they have to be identified to the the request. Just like for I am, first of all, the documentation. These documentation, how can you perform it? Then public, the public domain PSD is the first of all global internet domain name specification. Determine the numerical request to from the commands. Identify the tree name starting with the root. Once we can starting with the root, immediately below which the top level, which the top level, which the top level of domain names such as a .com. And just like for I'm using for US, then we can say is come from .us. The domain name structure consists the tree of the name, each of which is made for the sequencing of the characteristics of the word for labeling. We have to do for label. Then we have to provide the spectrum of characteristics. At the root of tree, simply called for what they will code for root of tree is dot. The dot, the internet community at the larger community set. So we throw the proper of policy exceptions. These specification point have to be registered domain name as well as for the identify the organizations. Just like for real world example, first of all, there are two type of organizations are there .com and .org. Just like for if you are India, then .in. If you are US, .us. And the just like for if the government organization is .gov at .in. Name at the which the registration occur are the called the publication surface domain, and the registration consists of label selections, and these label selection by the registration which the determine the PSD is applied. The applications for the example for organization who's providing organization is providing the ITF providing the domain. Just like for India, there are a lot of companies are providing subdomains. These subdomains they will providing the organization list is IFD. Nowadays the organization have to be removed, label removed. Now the label have to be lot of things are there, so we have to use them. Organization with the managing with the PSD particular DNS. The DNS record publication for name at the under of name under the na under the domain name. Okay, so we control nowadays PSO controlled to the domain name. These domain name have to be identified, managed by the PSD, are not available in the organization domain. So PSD control the domain name, which have been or which have one code is .com, .co, .in is the company depending on the PSD policy. This is the policy makers to be identified to understand the policies. These policy to be non-existing domain as well as the existing domains are there. Just like supposed to be non-existing domain. What is the non-existing domain for DMRC purpose? Non-existing domain is the domain which is provided the non-domain or non-database reporting. Just like for I'm taking three examples. First of all, I'm calling A for A and MX record. This is a record to identify. This is the non-database record. Non-database record, they come just using the internet. Sometimes they just registered and they didn't use the internet, so they have to be not recording in the domain name. Just non-existing domain providing these type of information. Now we can say we have to providing the tag. Tag is the important thing to be identified to specification. The tag is required to the purpose of identification. Just like for request mail receiving policy for non-existing subdomain is called for plain text optimization. This optimization technique to identify optimization result. This optimization result from the we can say the simple policy existing for owner, who's the domain owner. It applied only for non-existing subdomain of domain queries, as well as not at the either of existing subdomain or the domain itself. Its structure is indicator or identify that to be p tag. This p tag to determine below. If determine below means the to be identified, this is the value of np, this is the np tag to be and absent, and the policy is specified by the sp tag. If the sp tag is available in the downside, if the p tag is available for the below upper, below down, below upper. If the tag comes, that the counter, we can say this is the counter value. This is the say simply say, just like for I'm using the uh, uh, bloom filter. The bloom filter with the hash technique. What is the meaning of bloom filter with the hash technique? This is the mechanism to store the only databases. He's not deleting anything, he's just upgrading the database. In the data, whatever the information come, they store the information, then he come back again and to identify the below tag and the below up. Okay, this is the non-existing. When we can DMRC record is published for subdomain organization. This subdomain organization to identify the value of mechanism policy discover, and these policy discover to update the policy makers, just like for p. These P is the policy applied to the domain query and to be subdomain unless subdomain policy is existing described using the subtree. SP tag is updated to read policy application to be domain queries as well as the subdomain, and unless subdomain policies expire or expertly describe using the SP and NP tag. If you are using the SP tag, then if the SP, the absent the policy specification by the P tag must be applied for the subdomain. This subdomain to be identify the read value. If the both the SP tag is absent and the NP tag is either absent or be applicable, the policy specification by the P tag must be applied for the subdomain. This is the subdomain to be identify the value to identification the domain as well as the identification to the subdomains also be there. Okay, and the second thing, if you are ownership change action, if the domain owner action is domain owner action by the done is PSO is required using the DMRC. Participation in the DMRC, PSD DMRC make the information available for the receiver. If just like supposed to be, we are set the example of existing domain or expect author domain. This expect author domain should be applied for the policy maker. These policies to be receiver domain to the RFC 5322. This is the expect author domain and the domain owner action by the 5322. These 5322 to publicly surface list using the receiver. This negative or the positive, the capacity being created using the specification to the domain to the surface area. This is the most things we have to be cover them. If you are saying if the now empty and the longest PSD on the organization domain, then domain is the one of the receiver has determined to the acceptation for PSD as well as the DMRC. These documentation have to be receiver must be query for the DNS as well as the DMRC text record for the domain of machine organization. This is the control by the two thing, and the control by the RFC is 5322. This is the two things to identify publicly domain specification as well as the PSD domain specification. That next is secure for your this is the important thing the receiver would be checked to see if listed into DMRC PSD registry as well as perform to the /policies.slash.company.com.example. This is the some example to be identified to be domain to be authentication. Now the second thing we have to be PSD policy query comes from the organization domain policy queries. PSD policies is not used for organization subdomain to be identification to be feedback addressing. These addressing have to be RUA slash RUF when the organization domain is designed to be used the domain address. So sometimes the feedback once the feedback we receive, sometimes they have to be denied to the services used. Okay, so we required for DMRC feedback. These feedback we identify to non-existing domain to describe and useful. These information have to be organizational level DMRC operation. These operation to be identified to the privacy as well as the policies. The privacy concerns also be required once you have to be sending the domain to the organization. These organization to be identify privacy consent as the development based the requirement of the who's taking the RFC. If you want to read the privacy about the policy feedback, then you have to read the RFC is 696973. This is the RFC, and to read them to be more information is available about the privacy consent and these privacy to apply the mechanism to define the uh, first of all feedback lags. These feedback lags to be first of all providing the feedback reporting to the PSO can be some cases cause information to the lead out the organization to the PSO. The leakage could protection as well as utilization as a part of the program to prevent servants of the RFC. If you want to servancing little bit the feedback lag, then you have to go for RFC 7462 or 7624. There are two RFC you can know to read them. For they have two things are there. There are three cases are there. If you are routely three cases are considered. First of all, single organization PSO. Just single organization PSO is called for example is .com .google. Google is using for RUA and as well as the RUF reporting based on the PSD. DMRC have to be protection constant information about the email related to the entire managed by the organization. These both these both these both the PSO and the organization domain owner are the common. These are no additional privacy risk for the either normal or non-existing domain reporting to the due to the PSD DMRC. If you are multi-organization PSD and the organizations then required for DMRC, then we have to be dot just multi-organization. We have to be just like blockchain. If you are another thing, bank use these multi-organization organization PSD DMRC. PSD DMRC based reporting will be only for generation for the domain that to be not be the publicly DMRC policy as well as uh, only for generation for or not the domain that they are publicly as well as for policies to be recording the feedback reporting addressing for two things are there. One is for R, RUA and RUF that of the organization. Just like for host will be used the only direction feedback, just like for we can say leakage risk for these PSD organizations. These domain that they are with the to the com companies as well as for PSD policies. These non-existing causes for domain would be sent to the PSO. The third things are there, multi-organization PSO, just like for .com, that they are not be mandatory. DMRC uses policy risk to the organization domain that have to be developed DMRC within the such PSD, just PSD and the signification or significate. These non-DMRC organization domain, all the DMRC feedback will be direct to the organization or PSO. These PSO DMRC is just like for OPT out by the publicly at the DMRC would be more describe characteristics. These means that they are non-DMRC organizations. Domain would be at feedback reporting D directions or directions to the PSO. This constant reporting participations will be used to the further use, and the PSO will be receiving to the feedback non-existing domain. These non-existing domain would be similarly to be existing organization domain, and these feedback related such the course domain have to be small risk to be carrying information uh, related to the actual domain, and these minimum to the protection corner to the DM PS, PSD DMRC feedback must be limited to the aggregate reported. These feedback reporting carry out determine such information and the prevent to the greater risk. This is the three things are there. This is the example. If you are seeing the email, how to it work to the when the sender the receiver, these email have to be identified due to the policies to be specification security. There are two security concerns are there. How to it work? First of all, two RFCs are there. Security consent is 7489 and 79660. Okay, there are two things are there to be identified to be concerned to the all the domains if sampling thing reporting system. Now we can say uh, aggregate. What is the aggregate DMRC feedback providing the visibility into the real world emails stream to the domain owner to the make information decision regarding the publications of the DMRC policy when the uh, domain owner know that what is the legitimate email they are sending and what the authentication result are on the mail, and what is the forget email receiver are the getting that they are better decision about the policy, as well as they need to be steps they are need to be taken or take to ensure or enable those policies when the DMRC, the domain owner set the policy agreement to the concerned party, then understand their effect the mail receiver and can be them consider consider to the one by one policies. Okay, this is the things are there to be identified. Then visibility comes in the from the daily more frequent emails have to receive organization feedback reporting that their consent aggregate domain. These aggregation domain on the message stream related to the domain owner. This information includes the some steps just like for authentication as well as to be identified, just like for they have to carry forward uh, should be include the following data. First of all, DMRC policy discover and applied the selection message, this dispositions and the identification evaluation by the SPF and as well as the SPF result, and the identifier evaluation by the DKIM and DKIM results. They have two identification, and the identifications were aggregate. What the aggregation have to be identified. The second thing we have to be show to be show to the domain owner they are aggregate by the change of publications to be receive DMRC policy for the domain as well as the subdomain at any time from the mail which the receiver preventing. This will be occur during the reporting period as well as may be noted during the period at the end of the period when the reporting are generated or during the subsequent reporting period, all the depending all the mail receiver implementation under these conditions. These conditions may be possible to may receive could be any other following, just like for following steps like that. First of all, generate such the reporting period in the single aggregate report that they include the message disposing as well as based on the old policies or the mix of two policies, even though the reporting only concerns as a single policy maker element. Which policy maker or which policies will be include once we have sending to the particular feedback, generate multiple report first of all for the same period on for each policies or the publications policy occur during the reporting period. As well as they have to be generated a report those end time occur when the updated policies was detected readless of any request reporting individual. What they are doing, they have a lot of things to be included are there. First of all, data for each domain owner subdomain to be spectrally from the mail from the sending organization domain if they are not existing subdomain policy. Sender and receiver domain algorithms have to be applied if the policy request to the domain owner and the policy actually applied is very difficult, but they will do. And the number of successful authentication they have to be done it. And the finally, if the counters or the count of message based on the all the message receiver, even if their delivery is ultimate blocking by the other filtering agents also be there. The next is noted that one thing you have noted for that the domain owner of the domain agent will change the publication DMRC policy for the domain or or the subdomain at the any time for the mail receiver. The preventions will be occurred during the reporting period as well as they may be noted during the period. At the end of the period when the reported are generated and during the subsequent reporting period will be occur all that depending on the mail receiver implementation under those conditions they have to be mail have to be received by the two basic steps. First of all, generated for the such reporting period for the single aggregation reported then include disappointing the algorithms as well as the mix policy to be generated and generated reported whose at the occurring when the updated policies as well as the we can say uh, read less policies as well as the should empty and should transportation mechanism they will apply their thing. They have another thing we can use for transportation. This mail receiver after preparation a report must be evaluate the providing reporting the URL in the order givens maybe or any reporting URL that be include size limitations for extension for the generated reported after comparison and the after any end close on encoding request by the participation. These participation transportation mechanism must not be used at the attempt must be made by the deliver as the aggregations reporting to be every domain URL up to the receiver limited for supporting URL. If the transportation is not possible because the sometimes services advisory advisory by the publicly URL, these URL are not able to be accept reported and that these URL refer to be services then the unreachable or all the providing URL specification size limitation expressed to the generation record just like was supposed to be. They have a lot of sending and the receiving that maybe mail receiver cache that will be data that try again later. So maybe described data could not be sent at the particular email. Just as supposed to be, you already know that the email, these things are there. You already know that the message generation by the mail receiver must be mail. The mailbox is there. The message format is already mine is there. The aggregate reported itself must be included, in the one of the part of the message. These message have to be identified. The human readable protections may be included at the main part, as such as the text slash plain part. Okay, the aggregate data must be XML file. These XML file to be identify the particular domain. These domain have to be to be just like for if you are subdomain policies, what the tags is there is tag name is np, then reference, which reference you are taking, status currently is deliver or not be deliver, and describe the policies things. There are a lot of things are there to be identified, to be aggregations of data. If the data to be sending side, if the supposed to be if I'm taking the one RFCs, I'm reading that, I'm thinking this is the RFC we have to be covering is 5322. This is the just only for domain mail actions to identify, to be specification to tell them when the mail will be covering all the domain. Once we are sending that to the first particular domains to be another, just like for supposed to be the fill the covering for DMRCs. The second thing we have to message goes through to the medicated and the break agent authentications, or and the third thing with the receiver to the DMRC. These DMRC have to be identify the value for one domain to another domain, just like for I'm using flag, then DMRC evaluation is performed on the domain name, just like for supposed to be domain name sending, and these mail have to be actions will be taken for a particular existing domain and the particular single domain. Just like for algorithms who's checking the all the thing, the checking by the DKIM significant, these significant verification check if the single mail could be contain multiple DKIM significant or signatures. These result to be steps are to be tag D slash tag each check DMRC signature to be identified who's taking SPM check, and that this condition identification uh, agent check with the authentication check and the policy discover performance. These mail receive check to the see if the authentication identification falls into the agent, and these if one or more of the authentication identifier aligns with the DMRC 5322 from the organizations of 5322 sender field. These message authentications and message receiver, both the thing policy have to be applied the particular time period. Okay, just like for I'm taking example to be more specified to clear how can you handle these things. First of all, I'm using file name. File name is receiver, and the policy domain, these policy domain is begin time steps uh, and time steps and the unique ID extension. Then I'm using unique QID. Whenever the email have to send in the queue, this is the particular whatever algorithm you can use them particular domain reporting time period. Then policy domain is using the domain. Then begin time slab is using sometime you can use one multiply with the digit. These digits have to be identified second since 0000 and 00. Okay, and just and then after UTC, then particular time date whatever you can start, including the start of the time range to consent in the reporting. Then and time steps. This and time step is same thing. Then extension, which extension you can use them. Sometimes you can use an XML. Sometimes you can use the XML dot particular. Just I'm using for gchat. Then we can gchat. Then extension must be XML for the plain XML file or XML.gchat from an XML file compress using GIF format. Okay. Then after unique ID allow an optimization optimal unique ID generated by the mail which receive and mail received to distributions among the multiple reporting. These multiple reporting to be identified different sort within the same domain, or this is the to the different domain. Okay, if just like for mail dot receive dot example question mark example.com and particular just like for 10 lakh 20 lakhs dot gz, this is the full message authentication structures is there. Whenever you mail will be sent it to there. Okay, and then after we can go to the DMRC or RFCs is 5322 subject to the individual reporting system should be in the ABNF. This ABNF to be identify the reporting domain from the RFC submitted reported ID from the DFC particular RFC. Just supposed to be DMRC subjected reported domain from RFC 6367 or 6376 submitted receiver reported ID from RFC 5322. This is the example. To first domain indicated, these indicated for DMRC or DNS domain which name about the which the reporting was generated. The second domain name includes the DNRC domain name reporting, and the mail received generated the field to the enable to the domain owner to identify to the identify uh, subjected to field. Now visible, screen visible. Someone are told me no, screen not visible. Now is okay. Visible, sir? What screen? Hello. Actually, I'm really very sorry about the screen. I will share you my PPT for all my friends. Sorry, because I am right now in remote area. So not no internet facility. I'm using internet in someone who providing me. I'm really very sorry about the internet. But I will share you my presentations report these PPT for to the your the organization owner organization person. Then they will distribute the email ID. Okay. Sorry for these to readable, but I will try my I will try my best to be explain little bit. So first domain name name indicate the DNS domain must be reported was generated. The second name I want to check that to indicate that DNS domain reported to the mail receiver field to the enable the domain owner identify and the ignore duplicate reporting time. Maybe sometime they have duplication have to be generated. These duplications reported must be sending to by the email, so we try to be stop them these type of email which will be reporting or duplication email to be because sometimes they are hacking policy are also applying once they are sending the emails and receiver. So we try to be filled that report.com from the mail receiver and the mail dot receiver dot example. The example is particular just like for google.com the mail gmail.com the mail receiver who's the gmail particular @gmail.com to line to the mailbox, just like was supposed to be subjected report domain example.com submitted mail receiver example, and reported id is just as supposed to be 192.1, just like for 222.222.02. uh, 015 dot is one. This is the some email id you have to be identified to be transport uh, mechanism protections encounter. These protection encounter problem when the feedback data size is exceed mechanism allow for allocate size from the particular domain. Okay, they have some tagging systems also to be there to identify particular domain. If the domains is specification is totally different, then automatically subdomains are also be to be identified, and these identified domain to be reported to the particular to be either to the policies. Sometimes they are to be identified, sometimes not be identified, but just like for uh, I'm saying just like for authentication receiver chain, if the authentication receiver chain not be hacked by some other, then we have to be easily to be sending the email without any confirmation, just like for like that. This is the biggest example to identify. This is the authentication receiver chain. uh, this authentication receiver we have to be, if you know about the uh, uh, to be say if you need for RFCs 8617 to indicate to be used to internet made handlers who forget the forward and the receiver or sending message within the without alteration, such they are no will not be longer passed through the SBF first of all RFC 7208 and DKIM is RFC. You can to be read more about 6373 and DMRC RFC 7489, the mechanism where the evaluations from the subsequent message handler or the final receiver to be receive the information. First of all, we know little bit about how can you work for ARC. The ARC work for the supposed to be uh, message will be sent to the mailing list. Assume that all the message author domain publications on SPF record, the signature message would be DMRC and DKIM signature that indicate then RFC is 5322 subject handler, and the message body and the publications is publications a DMRC policies. This P equal to rejections. If they are done, then assume that the final receipt to the message implementation is SPF, as well as the DKIM and the DMRC authentication check to the incoming message. These is the policy to be identified. Then after these message is received by the ADMD hosting to the mail list, the manager MAL, this is the software. Then upon receipt from the message authentications for ADMD, the result may be comes from the DKID and DMRC, and the SPM check would be recorded in the authentication result header. Means he checked to the particular email ID is correct or not. If the email ID is the part of the normal list or operations, then we can the three steps they have to done it. First of all, the as address controller by the MAL is subsequence in the receiver RFC 5321 dot mail from the address field, allowing it receive and deliver message. The prefix is added to the authentications uh, message to the RFCs 5322 subject handler, and the some text to be applied for the message body. After this alternative have been made to the message to send the message list, these message list to be identified to be checked to be DMRC. AMD receive the message will be or will typically spit out any existing authentication result handler, it will be then perform, it will be, and as well as we can say the would be find the sender host in the list to the authentication sender for the ML domain. These however these under the DMRC domain does not match the domain in the RFC 5322. For existing field, results have to be come to the field, and if DKIM signature from the domain in the RFC 5322 from the address field, the message authentications domain will be failed to the verify, because that DFRC 5322 subject handler and the message body were alternative for ML, and these ML result have to be identified to the field every, even if there is a valid DKIM signification or signature attached with the ML as well as ADMD using the its domain, since neither uh, SPF or DKIM uh, yet passed or under DMRC for alliance result to DMRC result for the message is the failed, they are published by the authentic list, and as well as for ADMD should be rejection to the message. it it will be implementation for ML ARC. It would be recorded that the result of it email authentication check and the receiver to the message from the author. DMRC is authentication results handler. These then after performance of the alternative uh, described above, it would be sealed that the message under the ARC, which includes the just supposed to be recorded the content of authentication result header in a nearly create ARC authentication result handler. It also include the cryptography software of the message itself, very similar to the DMRC signature, but including any DRC header, which include the cryptography signature for all the ARC and ML. ADMD would be sent or ARC select message from the message list. Okay, there are 3 steps are there. When the message is reach to the list members to the ADMD and SPF and the DKIM, result would be still not be passed to the DMRC check. And however, if the receiving implementation to be ARC between that, it also check the validate the ARC check, verify the content to ARC authentication or was date ML ADMD at the point the check authentication decision whatever or not be those deliver the message, it will be sender by the SPF and DKIM and DMRC. Here there are 3 steps are there to be completed by these authentication. First of all, ARC seal, the second thing ARC message signification, and the ARC authentication results. 3 steps are to done here. The final conclusion before I will just okay. Then the second, first of all, we can say email for ARC is called for EAI. The EAI have to be performed by the RFC 3 6376 as well as uploading the data from RFC 8616 as well as authentication result to uploaded from 8601. And the if you require more detail to identify this RFC 8617 will be more international email ID you have to be identified. The second thing for ARC supporting multiplication digital signature algorithms. Okay, this is the to identify the DMRC to multiple signification algorithm to identify what they identify. First of all, what is the signification or signature to the indicate for ARC chain. The second thing, how can you authentication message signature header from the last ARC participation or participant covering by the signature were not be alternative or not be alternate if non-participate participate in ADMD handling to the signature message, since the to identify to be indicate the particular information to be passed through the through the one email ID to the another email ID. And the finally individually broken the chain. What is the signature broken to the ARC? If the signatures or signature in the ARC seal header field that cannot be verified or validate, or if the most recent AMS cannot be verified. Just supposed to be example, we can take it here is non ARC enable ADMD deliver a message with the ARC header set to the validate ADMD but not be modified to the message list. These such type of ARC and DRC signature to be identified to make message handling to the particular information have to be to be uh, to be implementation one to another message when we are sending the just like for ARC performing to application security consents are there. The other things also be there to be more specification failed header there. Then we can go little bit about the and the second thing is pre domain uh, pre message field reporting directions. Okay, these to be finally I will conclude to be domain owner from the preventions email or the previous email example is sending before monitoring. The policy must be now wishes receiving to the particular policies, and these policy have to be identified. Pre-message failure reporting should be sent by the email, or we can say authentication reporting. These authentication reporting to be covering that all the message when where we have to pass to the particular domain there. And then finally we have to be conclude the particular topic. Our email is we can say not be covering if we are not be participate is safely, we can say not be failed the publicly domain is using the DMRC. And the second thing we can say simply, if you required anything from the particular information for authentication, a receiver chain, feedback, as well as for receiving side, uh, message authentication, domain based authentication, just like for right now we are using for IPv4, we are not using we are using IPv6 nowadays. We have to be limited for IPv4. Once we are using for IPv6, they have the specification verification address is generated is more. Once we are addresses is generated more, or lot to be enhanced side, as well as with the security also be enhanced one day by day. And the other thing we have to be know about the DMRC. The DMRC have to be go about the RFC, and the RFC is 7489. This is I also produce them. I also be part of the this RFC. We is publicly domain is available. Internet ITF. Then icon also be there. These icon we can provide the domestic level, and these domestic level to have to be take the particular domains to be and use them, and there are some references use these presentation if you require. You can go and you can read more about the DMRC, and if you require a lot of things I will share this presentation, as well as I will share uh, RFCs also, and these RFC you can read, you know about the lot of security risk and the policy risk that they have different country have to be different policies to be implement the particular these different type of technique you can implementation thing. Okay, thank you. My side is done. You can ask queries.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, if any candidate has any query to ask to the expert, he or she may write in the chat box, or I will unmute. You may ask the specific query to the expert.
I will share your presentation also. I will share your presentation, the links and everything I will share with your coordinator. Then he will circulate for all the participants. I will try to be sent as soon as possible. Okay. May I leave, sir?
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for the wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you.
And in future, we are expecting to have the such kind of the collaborative activities as well in the for the academic growth of
Definitely.
the institute as well as the participants. So we are very grateful that you have spared the precious time to get shared with among the participants. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So participants, we will join again for the third session to be started at 2 p.m. Thank you.